What if I told you that everything you experience, every emotion, every reaction is shaped by the way you think? That within your mind lies the power to create your reality, find deep meaning, and overcome any challenge life throws your way. Imagine for a moment that you could face even the most difficult situations with a sense of peace, purpose, and strength. In today's video, we're diving into the powerful connection between the ideas of the mind and the meaning of our lives. Stay with me, because what we're about to explore could change the way you look at life itself. Our thoughts are powerful forces that influence every aspect of our lives, often without us even realizing it. The way we think shapes our perception of the world, the way we respond to situations, and how we interact with others. In fact, it can be said that our thoughts are the lens through which we think we can alter how we experience life itself. At a basic level, our mind takes in information through our senses, what we see, hear, touch, and feel. However, it doesn't just passively absorb this data. It processes it based on the ideas and beliefs we already hold. These beliefs can come from many sources: our upbringing, culture, experiences, and even our past traumas. Over time, for example, two people might witness the same event, yet each person could interpret it differently based on their individual mental framework. One person might view a setback as an opportunity to learn and grow, while another might see it as a sign of failure and defeat. Our thoughts have a profound impact on our emotions. The way we think about ourselves, others, and the world directly influences how we feel. If we constantly entertain negative or self-defeating thoughts, we might feel hopeless, anxious, or disempowered. On the other hand, if we choose to focus on positive, empowering thoughts, we may experience greater peace, confidence, and resilience. This is where the idea of cognitive reframing comes in, the practice of changing the way we view and interpret our thoughts. By doing so, we can shift our emotional response and create a more constructive and fulfilling reality. Thoughts also influence our behavior. Our mental state drives the actions we take or don't take. If we think we are incapable of achieving something, we may avoid trying altogether. If we believe we are destined for failure, we might not put in the effort needed to succeed. On the other hand, when we believe in our abilities and have a positive outlook, we are more likely to take action, persist through challenges, and ultimately achieve our goals. In essence, our thoughts create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we think we can or cannot do something, the more we begin to act in ways that either confirm or negate that belief. The way we think also affects our relationships with others. Our thoughts about ourselves and the world influence how we interact with people. If we think we are unworthy of love or respect, we may unconsciously push others away or accept unhealthy relationships. Conversely, if we believe we deserve respect and kindness, We are more likely to establish relationships that are built how we think about others, whether with suspicion or empathy, shapes the nature of our interactions with them. Moreover, our thoughts create a ripple effect that extends beyond ourselves. The energy we emit through our words, actions, and even our attitude influences the environment around us. People pick up on the vibrations of our thoughts, often responding in ways that mirror what we are projecting. This means that by changing our thoughts, we can shift the atmosphere in which we operate, whether in the workplace, at home, or in social setting. In a deeper sense, the thoughts we hold shape our reality in a spiritual and existential way. Our beliefs about the meaning of life, our purpose, and our place in the world define how we live out our lives. If we believe life is meaningless, we may find ourselves drifting, disconnected, and uninspired. But if we see our lives as purposeful and interconnected with a greater cause, we are likely to approach life with a sense of fulfillment and meaning. Our minds are not passive receivers of life's events. They are active creators of our reality. We choose the meaning we attach to every experience, and in doing so, we create the framework through which we interpret all future events. Our thoughts are like the paintbrushes that color our experiences. What we think becomes the canvas upon which our life is drawn. If we can change our thinking patterns, developing awareness of our inner dialogue and challenging limiting beliefs, we open up the possibility for transformation. The world as we know it becomes something entirely different when we realize that it is in many ways a reflection of our thoughts. Ultimately, the role of our thoughts in shaping reality cannot be overstated. Our minds are not mere bystanders to life's events. They are the architects of our experience. The more consciously we engage with our thoughts, the more control we have over our lives and the reality we create. Freedom of choice is one of the most profound and empowering aspects of human existence. It is the ability to determine our responses, attitudes, and decisions regardless of the external circumstances we face. In a world filled with uncertainty and external pressures, the power to choose how we respond to life's challenges is both a gift and a responsibility. It's the cornerstone. When we consider freedom of choice, we often think of it in terms of physical or external freedom, the right to make decisions about where we live, what we do, or how we act. But true freedom lies deeper than these external choices. It resides within our minds, in our ability to choose our inner responses. This type of freedom is not dependent on external factors such as wealth, social status, or the events that unfold in our life. It is a mental and spiritual freedom that transcends circumstances. No matter how dire the situation, we always have the freedom to choose our attitudes, thoughts, and reactions. This idea of inner freedom comes to the forefront, especially in times of suffering or hardship. In moments of pain or loss, we may feel as though we are trapped by our circumstances, unable to escape the suffering that we face. Yet, even in these moments, the freedom to choose how we respond to our suffering remains. We may not be able to control the pain or the events themselves, but we always have the freedom to choose our attitude towards them. We can choose to view our suffering as a burden, something that defeats us and robs us of hope, or we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth, a challenge to rise above and discover strength we never knew we had. The power of choice extends to our beliefs and perceptions about the world. Every person walks through life with a set of beliefs, whether conscious or unconscious, that guide their actions and decisions. These beliefs shape our reality because they influence how we interpret the world around us. For instance, two people may experience the same event, perhaps a failure or setback, but one might interpret it as a sign of their inadequacy, while the other might view it as an opportunity to learn and improve. The event itself does not change, but the way we choose to perceive it can entirely alter the experience. We have the freedom to challenge our beliefs, to reconsider what we hold true, and to change the way we think about it. One of the most powerful aspects of freedom of choice is its role in defining our identity. We are not simply the sum of our experiences or the roles we are assigned by society. We are the result of the choices we make in response to those experiences. No matter how others might treat us, we have the ability to choose how we define ourselves. We can choose to see ourselves as victims of circumstance, or we can choose to see ourselves as creators of our own lives, empowered by the choices we make every day. It is important to recognize that the freedom of choice is not always easy or straightforward. Often we are faced with a multitude of options, and making the right choice can feel overwhelming or unclear. Sometimes external pressures, whether from society, family, or friends, can make it seem as though our choices are limited or predetermined. But even in these moments, we still have the freedom to decide how we respond. It may require courage to stand firm in our choices, to go against the tide, or to make decisions that others may not understand. Yet, in these moments, we are exercising our deepest form of freedom. The freedom to be true to ourselves. This inner freedom of choice also speaks to our ability to take responsibility for our actions and decisions. When we acknowledge that we have the power to choose, we also acknowledge that we are responsible for the consequences of those choices. This responsibility can feel heavy, but it is also empowering. It means that we are not mere victims of our circumstances, tossed around by fate, but active participants in shaping our life. We are responsible for the paths we take, and while we cannot always control the outcomes, we can always control the direction in which we move. At its core, freedom of choice is about taking ownership of our lives. It is about recognizing that, no matter the situation, we always have the power to choose how we engage with the world. Our thoughts, actions, and attitudes are not dictated by external events. They are shaped by the decisions we make in each moment. This is the essence of true freedom. The freedom to determine our own responses, the freedom to act in accordance with our values, and the freedom to create the life we desire, regardless of the circumstances around us. The search for purpose is an intrinsic part of the human experience, a quest that shapes our lives in ways both profound and subtle. It is the driving force behind our actions, decisions, and aspirations. From the moment we are born, we are faced with the question, what is the meaning of my life? This search often begins in childhood, when we are taught the values and expectations of those around us. As we grow, this question evolves, and we find ourselves increasingly preoccupied with the need to understand our place in the world, the reason for our existence, and the role we are meant to play in the grand narrative of life. Purpose is not something that can be easily defined for us by others. It is something we must discover for ourselves, often through a journey of trial, error, reflection, and self-discovery. This journey is not always linear. At times, it may feel as though we are wandering, lost in a sea of uncertainty, unsure of where to turn next. The path to purpose is often filled with doubt and confusion. But it is precisely through this process of searching and questioning that we begin to understand who we are and what truly matters to us. For many people, the search for purpose is intertwined with the desire to make a meaningful contribution to the world. We are not isolated beings. We live in a society where our actions impact others. The desire to leave a legacy, to have our lives matter in some way, is a powerful motivator. This sense of purpose, we want to feel that we are part of something larger than ourselves, that our lives have significance beyond the day-to-day struggles we face. However, the search for purpose is not solely about external achievements or contributions. It also involves a deep internal process of understanding our own identity. Purpose is closely linked to the concept of self-actualization, the realization of our fullest potential as human beings. It is about finding meaning in our actions, understanding the values that guide us, and aligning our lives with those values. For some, this may mean pursuing a career in the arts, sciences, or social justice. For others, it may mean nurturing relationships, raising children, or cultivating personal growth. Regardless of the specific form it takes, purpose is about discovering what gives us a sense of fulfillment and direction. In times of hardship or suffering, the search for purpose becomes even more urgent. Life's challenges often force us to question everything we thought we knew about ourselves and the world around us. It is in these moments of crisis that the question of purpose takes on new meaning. Suffering, loss, and adversity can either break us or push us toward a deeper understanding of who we are and what we are meant to do. For many people, it is in the face of these struggles that they find their true calling, whether through acts of resilience, compassion, or self-reflection. Purpose, in this sense, is not just something we find in moments of ease and success, but in the very process of confronting and overcoming life's difficulties. The search for purpose is also closely tied to the idea of freedom. True purpose cannot be imposed upon us from the outside. It must come from within. It is a deeply personal and unique discovery that only we can make for ourselves. In order to find purpose, we must first free ourselves from the expectations and pressures of others. We must learn to listen to our own inner voice, to trust our instincts, and to follow the path that feels true to who we are. This freedom to choose our purpose is an essential aspect of our humanity, and it is what makes the search for purpose so deeply meaningful. While the search for purpose is an ongoing process, it is also a source of great fulfillment. The pursuit of purpose gives our lives direction, focus, and a sense of meaning. It helps us navigate the ups and downs of life with greater resilience, knowing that our actions are guided by a higher sense of meaning. The search for purpose provides us with a reason to keep going even when faced with uncertainty or adversity. It is the fuel that drives us forward, the beacon that guides us through the darkness, and the force that gives our lives depth and significance. Purpose is also not a one-time discovery, but something that evolves over time. What we see as our purpose at one point in life may change as we grow, learn, and experience new things. The journey of finding purpose is dynamic, constantly shifting as we gain new insights and confront new challenges. Our purpose may take on different forms at different stages of life, and that's perfectly natural. It may begin with a desire for success or recognition, but over time it may transform into a deeper understanding of what truly matters to us, whether that is connection, growth, contribution, or something else entirely. The search for purpose is, at its core, a search for meaning. It is the desire to understand why we are here, what we are meant to do, and how we can live a life that feels fulfilling and aligned with our deepest values. Suffering, though an inevitable part of the human condition, often carries with it the potential for profound growth. It is a paradox in many ways, because we tend to view suffering as something to avoid at all costs, something inherently negative. In truth, however, suffering, when approached in the right way, has the capacity to transform us, to deepen our understanding of ourselves, and to push us to discover strengths and depths we never knew existed. At the core of human suffering lies the experience of pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological. Pain can be a deeply disorienting force. It challenges our sense of security, disrupts our sense of control, and often brings us face to face with our limitations. In moments of pain, we are reminded of our limitations. It's what opens the door to growth. When we face suffering, we are forced to reckon with the truth that life is unpredictable and uncontrollable, that we cannot protect ourselves from all forms of pain, and that sometimes life simply unfolds in ways that are beyond our understanding or control. This realization, while often uncomfortable, has the potential to create a shift in perspective. We begin to understand that suffering is not merely something to endure, but something that, when navigated consciously, can be a teacher. Suffering teaches us humility, patience, and resilience. It forces us to confront our inner selves, to question our beliefs, and to reevaluate our priorities. The very experience of suffering can deepen our empathy, making us more compassionate toward others who are facing similar struggles. When we have walked through pain ourselves, we become more sensitive to the pain of others and more willing to offer support, understanding, and kindness. Moreover, suffering challenges our sense of identity. When life is flowing smoothly, it is easy to feel confident in who we are. But when faced with hardship, we are often forced to question our beliefs about ourselves. Who are we when we are no longer able to rely on our past successes or familiar comforts. In moments of suffering, we discover what truly matters to us, what we are capable of, and what we are willing to stand for. Our identity, once fragile and contingent on external circumstances, becomes more grounded in our inner strength and values. Suffering also brings clarity. When life is easy, we tend to drift along, following the currents of daily life without much reflection. But suffering has a way of cutting through the noise, forcing us to confront what is essential. When we are in pain, we are often reminded of the fleeting nature of life and the importance of living with purpose and intention. What am I living for? What is the deeper meaning of my life? And how can I align my actions with that meaning? In this way, suffering has the potential to recalibrate our lives, helping us reconnect with our deepest values and sense of purpose. In addition to providing clarity, suffering can also foster creativity and resilience. When faced with difficulties, we are often pushed to think outside the box, to find new solutions, and to approach problems from a different angle. Our survival instincts kick in, and we discover resources within ourselves that we may never have known existed. The very act of facing adversity requires creativity, flexibility, and perseverance, qualities that help us grow. Overcoming suffering is not a passive experience. It demands that we engage fully with the challenges at hand, making us more resourceful and adaptable in the process. Each time we rise above a difficulty, we expand our capacity to handle future challenges, building a sense of inner strength and confidence. Suffering also nurtures a deeper understanding of the impermanence of life. It is in the face of loss and pain that we are most acutely reminded of the transient nature of existence. This awareness, though uncomfortable, can lead to a greater appreciation for the present moment. We begin to realize that life is fragile, that the things we often take for granted, our health, our relationships, our time, are precious. This realization can bring a sense of urgency and gratitude, motivating us to live more fully and intentionally. We are no longer as concerned with trivial pursuits, but instead focus on what truly matters, investing our time and energy in relationships, experiences, and actions that contribute to a deeper sense of fulfillment. It is also important to recognize that suffering can lead to spiritual growth. In many spiritual traditions, suffering is seen not as a punishment, but as a necessary part of the path to enlightenment or self-realization. Through suffering, we come to terms with the limitations of the material world and are encouraged to seek deeper meaning in life. We learn to detach ourselves from the ego, the part of us that clings to pleasure, security, and control, and to embrace a more expansive, interconnected view of existence. Suffering often prompts a re-evaluation of our spiritual beliefs, challenging us to confront our fears, doubts, and assumptions about the nature of life and death. It invites us to seek wisdom beyond the physical realm and to find peace in accepting the mysteries of existence. While suffering is undeniably painful, it also has the capacity to transform our lives in ways that would be impossible without it. Through suffering, we learn to be more present, more compassionate, and more resilient. We discover the depths of our own strength and the richness of the human experience. In the process, suffering becomes not an enemy to be defeated, but a teacher and a catalyst for growth. Far from diminishing us, it has the potential to elevate us, to help us reach new heights of self-awareness, empathy, and spiritual wisdom. In the end, suffering, when embraced with the right mindset, becomes a source of profound personal transformation. The power of perspective is an incredible force that shapes how we experience the world and navigate the challenges of life. Perspective is the lens through which we interpret our experiences, and it has a profound impact on the way we think, feel, and act. The same event or situation can be perceived in vastly different ways depending on how we view it. And it is this very ability to shape our understanding of reality that gives us the power to create meaning in our life. In many ways, our perspective is our reality. What we believe to be true shapes the way we live, and how we interpret our circumstances determines the course of our actions and reactions. One of the most powerful aspects of perspective is its ability to transform situations that seem negative or limiting into opportunities for growth and learning. For example, two people facing the same difficult challenge, whether it's a job loss, a health crisis, or a personal setback, may respond in completely different ways depending on how they view the situation. One person may see the challenge as an insurmountable obstacle. The other may view the challenge as a learning experience, an opportunity to grow, adapt, and perhaps discover new possibilities they hadn't considered before. In both cases, the circumstances remain the same, but the way each individual perceives and responds to those circumstances is what determines the outcome. The power of perspective is rooted in the fact that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are all intertwined. Our thoughts influence our feelings, and our feelings influence the way we act. When we change our perspective, we change the way we think about something, and in doing so, we also change the way we feel and behave. For instance, if we choose to see a difficult situation as an opportunity for personal development, we may approach it with curiosity and determination rather than fear and resistance. This shift in perspective can open us up to new possibilities and empower us to take action that we might otherwise avoid or overlook. Perspective also plays a crucial role in how we perceive ourselves. Our self-commitment is largely shaped by the way we view our abilities, worth, and potential. If we see ourselves as capable and resilient, we are more likely to take on challenges with confidence and perseverance. If we see ourselves as victims of circumstance or as incapable of overcoming difficulties, we are more likely to give up when faced with adversity. The way we view ourselves, whether with self-compassion or self-criticism, determines our level of motivation, self-esteem, and success. By shifting our perspective on who we are and what we are capable of, we can break free from limiting beliefs and unlock our full potential. Another powerful aspect of perspective is its ability to shift our relationships with others. How we view the people around us can have a significant impact on how we interact with them. For example, if we see someone as a competitor or threat, we may approach them with distrust or defensiveness. On the other hand, if we view others as allies or collaborators, we are more likely to foster a spirit of cooperation, understanding, and empathy. Perspective shapes the way we communicate, relate to, and understand one another. When we change our perspective on others, we often find that our relationships become more positive, fulfilling, and harmonious. The power of perspective also extends to how we view the world around us. Our outlook on life can greatly affect our overall sense of well-being and happiness. A person with a positive perspective may see beauty, opportunity, and hope, even in the midst of adversity, while someone with a negative perspective may be prone to despair, frustration, and cynicism, even in favorable conditions. The way we view the world influences our ability to find joy, meaning, and fulfillment in everyday life. A shift in perspective can open us up to a richer, more vibrant experience of the world, where we see possibilities instead of limitations, solutions instead of problems, and gratitude instead of resentment. Perspective also plays a key role in our ability to manage stress and navigate difficult emotions. When we face challenges, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the weight of the situation, to feel as though we are drowning in negative thoughts and emotions. However, by shifting our perspective, we can often find a way to regain control. For example, instead of seeing a stressful situation as something that is happening to us, we can view it as something that is happening for us. An opportunity to learn, adapt, or strengthen our resilience. This simple change in perspective can reduce feelings of helplessness and empower us to take action in a more constructive and balanced way. One of the most transformative aspects of perspective is its ability to help us navigate the uncertainty of life. Life is filled with unpredictability, and we can never know what the future holds. This uncertainty can often lead to fear, anxiety, and a sense of powerlessness. However, by shifting our perspective on uncertainty, we can see it as an essential part of life's richness. Instead of fearing the unknown, we can embrace it as a space of potential and possibility. Life's unpredictability allows for growth, creativity, and new experiences. And when we change our perspective on uncertainty, we open ourselves up to a greater sense of freedom and opportunity. At a deeper level, perspective is also a key factor in our spiritual and existential development. Our beliefs about the purpose of life, the nature of suffering, and our place in the universe are all shaped by the perspective we hold. For example, someone who sees life as meaningless and random may struggle to find a sense of fulfillment, or someone who believes in a greater purpose or inner peace. Perspective shapes not only how we see the world, but also how we find meaning in it. The way we view life, death, and everything in between influences our ability to find peace, purpose, and understanding in the face of life's challenges. Ultimately, the power of perspective lies in its ability to shape our experience of reality. Our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes all influence the way we interact with the world and with others. By consciously choosing to shift our perspective, we can transform the way we experience life. Perspective empowers us to change our interpretation of events, find meaning in struggle, and discover opportunities for growth and connection. It is through this lens that we can shape our lives and navigate the complexities of the world with greater clarity, wisdom, and resilience. The necessity of responsibility is deeply woven into the fabric of human existence. It is a concept that goes beyond mere obligation or duty. Responsibility is the key that unlocks personal growth, societal harmony, and the capacity to lead a meaningful life. At its core, responsibility is about taking ownership of our actions, decisions, and their consequences. It is an acknowledgement that while we cannot control every aspect of life, we have the power to choose how we respond to the circumstances we face. This sense of ownership extends to every area of life. Our relationships, our work, our health, our environment, and perhaps most importantly, our inner lives. Responsibility is essential for personal development because it serves as the foundation for self-mastery. To take responsibility is to acknowledge that we are the creators of our own fate. When we accept responsibility for our choices, we stop blaming others or circumstances for our difficulties. Instead, we empower ourselves to make changes. When we hold ourselves accountable for the outcomes of our actions, we are more likely to approach life with intention and purpose. Without responsibility, we remain passive participants in our own lives, drifting through existence with little control over our future. In relationships, responsibility plays a central role in the creation of trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Every relationship, whether it be with a partner, friend, family member, or colleague, requires us to take responsibility for our words and actions. When we take responsibility in our relationships, we acknowledge that the way we communicate, the way we act, and the choices we make impact others. Instead of pointing fingers or shifting blame, we choose to reflect on how we can contribute positively to the relationship and work towards mutual growth. Responsibility in relationships means being willing to confront difficult truths, apologize when necessary, and make amends. It means being fully present and active in nurturing the bond we share with others. The necessity of responsibility also extends to our work and contributions to society. As individuals, we are part of a larger community, and the actions we take have a ripple effect on those around us. When we take responsibility for our roles in society, we recognize the impact we have on the lives of others, whether it's through our professional work, our engagement in social causes, or simply the way we conduct ourselves in public. Responsibility in this sense is about recognizing our duty to contribute to the collective good, to be mindful of the choices we make, and to work towards creating a better environment for those around us. Responsibility is also crucial when it comes to personal health and well-being. In a world that often places the blame for our health on external factors, genetics, society, or even luck, responsibility encourages us to take ownership of our physical and mental states. This means adopting healthy habits, managing stress, seeking proper medical care, and it also involves recognizing the mind-body connection and understanding that our mental and emotional health play a significant role in our physical health. Responsibility in this area is about taking charge of our choices, whether that's the food we eat, the exercise we engage in, or the way we manage our emotions. By taking responsibility for our health, We stop viewing ourselves as victims of circumstance and instead become empowered to make decisions that lead to a healthier, more fulfilling life. On a deeper level, the necessity of responsibility is also tied to our inner lives and the way we navigate our emotions and thoughts. Our thoughts shape our reality, and when we take responsibility for our mental state, we gain control over our inner world. This means not allowing ourselves to be at the mercy of negative thoughts, self-doubt, or emotional reactivity. Instead, we choose to take responsibility for our emotional well-being by cultivating self-awareness and practicing self-regulation. It is through this self-responsibility that we can begin to change unhelpful thought patterns, overcome fear, and develop the mental resilience needed to face life's challenges with confidence. The necessity of responsibility also carries with it the recognition of the consequences of our actions. Every choice we make, no matter how small, has an effect on the world around us. When we take responsibility, we acknowledge that our decisions matter, and we become more mindful of the impact they have. This recognition can be both empowering and humbling. It encourages us to make decisions that align with our values, to think ahead about the potential outcomes, and to act with integrity. Responsibility in this sense teaches us that we are not isolated beings, but interconnected with others and the world. The choices we make influence not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. And understanding this interconnectedness one of the most profound aspects of responsibility is its role in creating meaning in our lives. It is through taking responsibility for our struggles, whether they involve personal pain, external challenges, or societal issues, that we find meaning. We may not be able to change everything that happens to us, but by accepting responsibility for how we respond, we affirm our ability to shape our destiny and find meaning, even in the face of adversity. In essence, the necessity of responsibility is that it enables us to live authentically with purpose and direction. It teaches us that we are not passive beings subject to the whims of fate or circumstance, but active creators of our own experiences. Through responsibility, we realize that we are the architects of our lives, capable of building the future we desire through the choices we make today. It is responsibility that gives us the power to grow, to contribute, and to find meaning in both the extraordinary and the ordinary moments of life. By accepting responsibility for ourselves, our relationships, our work, and our impact on the world, we embrace the power to live a life that is truly ours to shape. In conclusion, Responsibility is the cornerstone of a meaningful and fulfilling life. It is not merely a duty we perform, but a transformative force that shapes our actions, thoughts, relationships, and experiences. Through responsibility, we gain the power to shape our destiny, to grow through challenges, and to contribute positively to the world around us. It empowers us to move beyond self-pity or blame, fostering a mindset that focuses on solutions, growth, and self-improvement. Whether it is in our personal development, the way we relate to others, or how we engage with the larger world, responsibility gives us the tools to create a life of purpose, integrity, and meaning. By embracing responsibility, we take ownership of our lives, ensuring that our choices align with our values and that we continually strive to become the best version of ourselves. Ultimately, responsibility is not just about managing our obligations, but about embracing our role in shaping our own journey and contributing to the collective good, one conscious decision at a time,